can see. It looks like I'm not able to share my screen on my end, Vivian. It looks like this is disabled. Nikki, are you able to share your screen?
Yeah, I see the button.
Okay, I just did. I didn't hit.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
All right, I see it too. Let me bring that up. Okay. Can you all see my screen? Yep. Okay. Awesome. So hello everyone again. Welcome to today's fundraising webinar for NEPA Gives. Again, my name is Alana. I'm the lead project manager from GiveGab for the Giving Day. And joining me today also from GiveGab is Nikki, who's the project coordinator for the Giving Day. Now, before we jump into our slides, just a few housekeeping items. This webinar will be recorded and will be posted on nepagives.org along with the slide deck if you ever want to go back and review the materials that we go over today. It is important to note that everyone is on mute to keep the noise level at a minimum, but we do want to hear from you and answer any questions you may have. So take a moment to locate the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom webinar panel, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the webinar. I would strongly recommend using that Q&A box rather than the chat box for any questions, as it's just a little easier for us to manage the questions as we wrap up the webinar. Okay, so just a quick overview of what you will learn today. We'll be going over the new enhancements to the GiveGab platform since your Giving Day last year. We'll also talk about how to access the peer-to-peer fundraising tool, how you can invite and manage fundraisers, and we'll also be going over some basic strategies for stewarding and engaging your committed fundraisers. So let's jump into what new features GiveGab has updated since your last Giving Day that will affect how you use our peer-to-peer fundraising feature. So first off, GiveGab has released a new tiered admin access feature that can be really helpful in those instances where you might have an assortment of team members working on your project and only want to delegate access to someone who can work on anything tied with the Giving Day profile. So this means they would be able to help you create your profile, set up matches, add and edit fundraisers, add offline donations, but they cannot see or have access to donor reports, your bank account information, etc. Because in many instances, your Giving Day participants, your organization may be using volunteers and interns to help with your day that really have no reason to access that sensitive information. So a pro tip this year would be to go through and make sure you're updating your admins. And you can do that by clicking on the header for admin access to sort and show everyone who has a blue key. So you'll want to go down that list and make sure all those members, if they're still members of your organization, great. If someone has left and still has that blue key next to their name, simply click directly on the blue key and it will completely revoke their access. We also have a really great updated training suite. For those who participated in last year's Giving Day, you'll notice the new training page is much more condensed and manageable. And we've created sections based on topic that lead you to a strategy webinar on that particular topic, support articles, and short 1 to 2 minute how-to videos. That way you can find the answer you need much, much faster. And just to note, all of our training videos do have a closed caption option should someone need subtitles. All you have to do is click on the CC icon in the bottom right corner when you start the video. Now this year, you'll also notice some awesome new graphics are now available on your downloads page. We now offer some new digital marketing materials like Zoom backgrounds, GIFs, and so much more. So be sure you are using them to promote your participation in NEPA Gives throughout your virtual communications leading up to the Giving Day. So I personally think this is one of the most exciting changes we've made in regards to peer-to-peer fundraising. we now allow donors to select a fundraiser right within the donation flow. So previously, if you remember last year, donors would have to go directly to a fundraiser page to make a donation to that fundraiser. But now, if a donor goes to your organization page and donates from there, they will be presented with a drop-down option of all the fundraisers who've signed up to fundraise for your organization. Now, as a site administrator, you have the power to attribute donations to any fundraiser from your organization. So if a donor calls you and says they made a mistake and meant to attribute their donation to fundraiser X, you can go into your reports and use that little edit pencil to attribute that donation to the correct fundraiser. So now let's transition a little bit into expanding your reach with peer-to-peer fundraising. So for those who are thinking of using peer-to-peer fundraising for the first time, we want to give you some background information on what exactly is peer-to-peer fundraising. So firstly, it's a way to leverage your passionate supporters to rally behind your cause by allowing them to create their own individual fundraising page that tells their story on why they are fundraising for your organization. And then they can share that page with their own personal network, which in turn helps multiply your organization's reach. So really, it's a fun, unique way to steward your existing donors that really goes beyond just having them donate on the giving day. And it's also really personal and really engaging. And we have consistently noticed throughout, the hundreds and hundreds of giving days we've supported, is that organizations that use peer-to-peer fundraising raise more money than those who don't. So if we just look at the numbers alone for the 2020 NEPA Giving Day, those organizations that use peer-to-peer fundraising raised on average $6,901 as compared to $1,938 for organizations who did not use any fundraisers. And on average, we see not only are organizations raising more money, they're also seeing on average 4 new donors per fundraiser, which is pretty incredible. And GiveGab makes it super simple for anyone to sign up that wants to fundraise for your organization. Fundraisers can invite themselves through your organization page. You can invite them directly through the back end of your profile. And you also have the power to make fundraising invitation only. The fundraisers will each have their own unique URL for sharing, and all of their totals are going to roll up directly into your overall organization's totals on your main profile page. And if some of your peer-to-peer fundraisers need help with setting up some of their profiles, admins can establish default settings and even create and manage profiles on their behalf. So who exactly would make a good potential fundraiser for your organization? We recommend starting with your existing passionate supporters who already have a strong personal connection to your cause. So this would include your board members, volunteers for your organization, maybe your low capacity donors, any major donors you have, staff members, and even your own friends and family. So now that you have a better idea of what people you want to ask to be potential fundraisers, how can you get them on board and excited to raise money for you? Well, first thing you want to do is start early. So right now, after this webinar ends maybe, and your endorphins are high and you're pumped and excited for the giving day, start putting some messaging together about the giving day and why your organization is participating to start educating your fundraisers. This can also be sure you are being very clear about your goals for the day and how important your fundraisers are to reaching your goals and how they can personally help you reach them. It's really important to have that common goal that all your fundraisers can rally behind and adds that much more excitement when you do achieve that goal. And they will know they played a personal role in helping you, which is extremely fulfilling. And then lastly, you want to make it as easy as possible for your fundraisers to be active and effective fundraisers for you on the day. So you can do this by sharing sample graphics and content with them for them to use, which can all be found on nepagives.org. And you can also share recommended timelines with them, like be sure you're posting X amount of times on social media before the giving day and on the giving day, or maybe send X amount of emails leading up to the giving day. So a lot of things you can do on your end to make it as easy for them to be effective fundraisers on their end. So in this next section, I want to dig a little deeper in how you can start adding fundraisers in the back end of your profile. Now, as I mentioned earlier, fundraisers can be invited right in your Giving Day dashboard through that Add Fundraisers tab at the very bottom there. When that tab expands, you'll see a blue Add Fundraiser button in the upper right corner that says Add Fundraisers. You're able to use this button to add one fundraiser at a time, or you can use that Upload Fundraisers button to mass import from a spreadsheet. Now, if you do decide to add one fundraiser at a time, a little pop-up window will appear where you'll be prompted to add the first name, last name, and email address of the fundraisers you are recruiting. So you'll want to fill in this area, and then you can choose to either add more fundraisers or click that Next Compose Your Message button, and it will send you to a little email text box where you can add in a subject line and a message that will be emailed directly to all the people you're inviting to be fundraisers. And then once you've completed these steps, the fundraisers you have invited will appear in a list under your Add Fundraiser section, and you can easily track the number of donors, the amount they've raised, their goal. And in the action column, you have the ability to email them directly. You can edit their profile yourselves, or you can remove them completely as a fundraiser. You also have the ability to set a templated story for every fundraiser that signs up, or set a standard goal for every fundraiser. Now, keep in mind that each fundraiser still has the power to edit this story text and change their goal if they would like to. But for those fundraisers who choose not to customize their profile at all, then at least you know all of them will start with a consistent story message and goal. So now I'm going to turn it over to Nikki to talk about the second way to sign up for fundraisers.
All right, thanks, Alana. Yeah, so we make it really, really easy to sign up or invite your fundraisers. But now I'll go into a couple of steps on how your fundraisers can sign up right from your profile page. So as you can see here, this is a typical profile page that you will see. And at the very top, next to the donate button, you'll see that fundraise button. On that last screen that Alana showed, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a couple of slides, you can enable the fundraise button or disable it depending on whether or not you would prefer to have fundraisers sign up on their own or just have it be an invite-only process. So if they go ahead to your profile page, click that fundraise button, they'll be prompted to this next screen here where they can enter their first and last name, their email address, and a password. So typically they might not have a profile already in the GiveGab platform. So this is where they can create their profile and their password. If for any reason they're already logged into GiveGab, they can just continue on with the sign up process. So once that is finished, this prompt here at the top of the screen will show up and automatically start out by giving the peer-to-peer fundraiser their unique link. So this is the link that they'll want to hang on to, and they have access to this link in more than one place, but it's super easy just to kind of take that link, bookmark it, and just know that the peer-to-peer fundraiser can share that out. And then they are automatically directed once they log in to GiveGab to their fundraisers dashboard, as you can see here. And on the right-hand side, you can see where that blue arrow is, where the unique link that I just mentioned is as well. And of course, on that banner on the top, they can easily click that manage profile button right when they sign up. So now let's switch gears a little bit and talk about a few best practices. So Alana talked a little bit about, who you should ask, to support you through the peer-to-peer fundraising feature. So, your board members, your volunteers, your supporters, friends, family, really anyone who has a really close connection to your organization and can, really speak to the goals and the mission of your organization. Um, and definitely, be strategic in, who you sign up or who you ask to sign up, or if you just want anyone to kind of sign up. It does take a little bit of a sign up. We make it really easy, and many templates, and the dashboard makes it very easy to work through all of the setup processes. But just make sure you talk with your peer-to-peer fundraisers and make sure it's something for them, and they'll really put a little bit of time and effort into. For instance, the second bullet here mentions, maybe having a little kickoff meeting or just a quick debrief from last year's peer-to-peer efforts for your organization. So you do have access to last year's dashboard, so you can head to that peer-to-peer fundraisers tab in last year's dashboard. You can see all of your fundraisers. You can see how much they raised. So maybe pick out a couple that had really strong campaigns, and maybe ask them to speak about their strategy and maybe how they were able to garner so many donations or engage so many donors on your behalf. So it's definitely a good idea to just kind of look at last year and see what you're able to accomplish, and maybe even set some goals, to surpass last year's totals, whether that's the amount of peer-to-peer fundraisers you have signed up or the dollars in donors that you're able to capture. I know it's tough to get in person, nowadays, but you can certainly host a virtual like onboarding session. It's listed here in the bullets, but we have a ton of peer-to-peer resources right on the website. So, getting everyone together and just having, a face-to-face conversation and kind of poke around the website alongside the peer-to-peer fundraisers, just to go through a lot of those resources and talk about, setting goals. Alana mentioned setting a goal for your fundraisers, whether that's $100 or $1,000 if you want to set the bar high for all of the fundraisers. Just as long as you're setting clear expectations, and they know what their next steps are once they're signed up, and of course encouraging their storytelling. They're obviously wanting to support your organization, for a specific reason, so they can include that in their customized story within their dashboard. So yeah, just definitely take a few moments before you dive in, and just collect your thoughts with your team. In terms of motivating your fundraisers, we definitely see it's tough, and I'm even guilty of it as well. You sign up for something, you're ready to go, you have all these plans, and then the event comes and you're either just too busy, or there's just oh, maybe next year. Think about some ways that you can motivate your fundraisers now. You really just want to set them up for success. A lot of peer-to-peer fundraisers might not have any experience at all in fundraising or even in the online fundraising space. So, like I just mentioned, setting a default goal, so the peer-to-peer fundraisers know, what to expect. If they know that they should strive towards raising $100 or $50 or $500, knowing your goals, not only just for peer-to-peer fundraisers, but even in your organization's overall goals for your participation in the giving day. Of course, all of the resources that I mentioned, and we'll provide a refresher on all of those resources within the nonprofit toolkit, but just provide links to those resources, specifically like social media templates that we've got email templates. So really the peer-to-peer fundraiser can just copy and paste into their own social media platforms or in their own email, or even send a text. We have a ton of great templates that they can know that they don't have to start from scratch, that they have all of these resources right at their fingertips. And then those wonderful, wonderful graphics, those are definitely super handy to have and share out. You can share the direct link to the downloads page. Encourage your peer-to-peer fundraisers to, add it as a profile picture, a cover photo on their social media platforms. Post, take a lot of those images. We've got some great Zoom backgrounds. I know Vivian had one, to begin with. So though, check those out and definitely share those, just so they know that they're there and they can utilize them. And then, of course, you want to check in with them throughout your planning. Check in with them, now, every few weeks, just to make sure that, they are familiar with the platform and comfortable. And if there's any questions, they can either, connect with your team, or we can certainly support them on the GiveGab side if they're having trouble or if they need help logging in or, adjusting their story. They can certainly chat into us and we're more than happy to help. And this last bullet is something, fun. And I know some organizations and Giving Day hosts might have a prize around this or some sort of incentive. So it's something that you can think about if you want to, spark some friendly competition. Maybe it's, the peer-to-peer fundraiser that raises the most or gets the most donors, wins a pizza party for 5 people, or, even if it's a silly trophy or a prize or, bragging rights or something like that, some friendly competition, will really, really go a long way. I know, with my competitive nature, I'd probably text all my friends and family and not only say, I want to win, but I also really want to support this organization and they deserve as many donations as we can get. So definitely think about doing that if it's something for you. All right, so this screen is where Alana kind of left off and shows, what it looks like on your dashboard once fundraisers are signed up. So this is where you can keep in contact with your fundraisers. So you can see off to the right-hand side, there's under those actions, there's that little mail icon, the envelope icon. You can email them just to kind of check in. You can say, hey, Rebecca, I noticed maybe you didn't have your profile set up yet, or, you started to, and I'm seeing X, Y, and Z. Do you need help? Or just to check in and say, hey, we're a couple months out. Do you need anything like that? You can certainly get in contact with them. And the great thing about being an administrator on your dashboard is you can certainly help your fundraisers as well. So that pencil icon, you can get in to their toolkit, to their dashboard, and make any adjustments for them. So if anyone's having trouble, you can certainly log in on their behalf and make any edits to their profile. And of course, further down in, you'll see the allow new fundraisers to sign up checkbox. So if that is enabled, that fundraise button will appear on your profile and allow fundraisers to sign up on their own. Or if that's unchecked, that's where you can follow the steps that Alana went over and just invite new fundraisers to sign up from your dashboard. And that fundraiser story, it is templated for everyone that you do sign up on your dashboard, but you can certainly change that story. So it does say, I support this organization's mission and I want it to have a greater impact on the community. If you want that to say something different for all of your fundraisers, you can certainly do that. Just note that if you do change the story or the fundraiser's goal after fundraisers have signed up, it doesn't retroactively change the story for anyone who previously signed up. So you'd have to manually go in and change those. But for anyone who signs up going forward, once you edit that message, that will be there. And then, of course, make sure you're clicking the save button. That message all button I want to definitely highlight is something that you can take advantage of on your peer-to-peer fundraising dashboard if you're just wanting to send a mass email to just your peer-to-peer fundraisers. All right, so this is the fundraising toolkit. And as you can see, Charlie here added a profile photo that will appear on the peer-to-peer fundraising page. And this is very similar to your nonprofit dashboard. So each tab extends when you click the, for instance, tell your story. It will allow you to add your story. If they want to adjust their goal, maybe it's, the minimum is 500, but, they want to do 1,000, they can change their goal. And then, of course, once donations open, they can make a seed donation. So we recommend that. It's a great way to kick off the campaign if a peer-to-peer fundraiser does have the capacity to financially contribute to their own campaign. It kind of just kicks things off and gets things started. So we make it very easy. That donate button will go right to the donation form as soon as donations open. And then the other tabs, the reach out tab, share socially, you can reach out to your supporters as a peer-to-peer fundraiser. So Charlie can use that tab to add his contacts in there and say, hey, this is my profile page. NEPA Gives is happening in just a couple months. Here's my profile page, bookmark it, and come back during the giving day and support my peer-to-peer fundraising campaign. And then we make it very, very easy to share socially and give thanks from the peer-to-peer fundraiser to any of the supporters that donated through that peer-to-peer fundraisers page. So sharing socially, we've got the buttons on the right-hand side, Twitter, Facebook, that will pre-populate the fundraiser's unique link into those platforms. So it's super easy. And we also have that share link specific to the peer-to-peer fundraisers page on the right-hand side. And then the Give Thanks tab, finally, is a great way for Charlie to recognize his network of friends and supporters that gave to his campaign. So each donor will show within that Give Thanks tab, and then there's the option to thank them. So if you put a thank you message as a peer-to-peer fundraiser in that tab, you can just click a button and it will automatically send a thank you to that peer-to-peer fund, or to the donor that gave to your peer-to-peer fundraising page. So you can easily keep track of who was thanked and all of the donors that came in to that peer-to-peer fundraisers page. All right, so here's a great example of a peer-to-peer fundraisers page. So on the left-hand side, you'll see kind of the full profile page. And then on the right-hand side, this is just an action shot of, scrolling further down. So the great thing about the peer-to-peer fundraisers page is it takes all of the branding, the logos, the donation levels, anything that you've got on your profile, it will carry over. So there's no, need for any like big setup. In this instance, what Vivian would, maybe add is maybe why she's fundraising for NEPA Gives. You can see the, it might happen quick here, but the I support NEPA Gives, and it's right here above the donation levels. And that's where she can really customize her story, and that will show there. So that's where that toolkit comes in handy, where they can add their profile photo and a specific story right on their profile page. All right, there's lots and lots of resources. And I know if you visit the website, it might be overwhelming and you're not really sure where to start. But just going through these bullets here, they're all linked out. So the slides will be on the website, on the trainings page, and you can certainly visit this, or you can get to all of these great resources right from the nonprofit toolkit. So this first one is your peer-to-peer toolkit. So this is for you as a nonprofit administrator. You can look through all of that. It kind of goes through all of the things we've gone through this webinar, how to set up a fundraiser, best practices. We've got training videos and things like that. And then this next one is also linked right on that peer-to-peer toolkit. So it's the fundraisers guide. It's a specific page on the NEPA Gives website that's just for your peer-to-peer fundraisers. So it's like a 3-step process. How do I, complete my peer-to-peer fundraising campaign? So you can send all of your peer-to-peer fundraisers there. They can, poke around the site. That's where they can get those graphics and even visit some support articles and blog articles that the GiveGab team has on peer-to-peer fundraising. So there's lots of resources within that guide. And then within that guide itself, this third bullet, the email templates, both for yourself and for peer-to-peer fundraisers. So again, making it super easy. You don't have to create anything from scratch. I'm sure you've got plenty on your plate to, work through in terms of like marketing, but we've got all of that already started for you. So you can just kind of plug and play there. And then lastly, this support articles bullet, also linked out, from the nonprofit toolkit, from the peer-to-peer fundraisers guide. There's a lot of great articles. So if you visit the support center, and that's support.givegab.com, we have a slide that'll show you how to get in contact with us. You can type in any topic. So even if it's on matches and challenges, or you want to learn about peer-to-peer fundraising, you can just type that into our support article center. And then we also listed a couple of specific articles from that support center that we might find to be, beneficial for you to kind of start out. All right, so wrapping up here before we get into questions, just a couple of reminders that, right after this, poke around the site, start getting familiar with the peer-to-peer fundraising tool, and just start recruiting your peer-to-peer fundraisers and start thinking about your strategy. And, like we said before, get in contact with last year's peer-to-peer fundraisers and just see if they're interested again in participating. And then, of course, you'd like to follow NEPA Gives on social media and the foundation. Use that NEPA Gives hashtag. It will be trending on social media, and we'll also have a social media aggregator on the landing page of the site as we get closer to the giving day. So definitely a lot of activity on social media. Make sure you're sharing posts and posting yourself. So definitely use that platform as much as you can. The nonprofit registration deadline is May 24th. So that is right around the corner. So be sure that you are registering your profile if you haven't already. You're not automatically registered year to year. So you'll definitely want to get yourself registered this year for the NEPA Gives 2021 campaign. And that deadline again is May 24th. And then, of course, we can't stress it enough. You'll probably hear it another 100 times, but check out the nonprofit toolkit. Has a ton of information that you will really, really, rely on, from now up until the campaign and even after. So check out the nonprofit toolkit, and most importantly, keep an eye out on your inbox for any important emails, whether it's coming from, the foundation or their team members, or even GiveGab. For instance, if, we need, any information, or if, you need to get in contact with us, just be on the lookout for anything related to the giving day. I know we're all kind of, buried in our inboxes, but just make sure you're staying up to date on any, big milestones coming up or any deadlines or anything like that. And here is where I mentioned our help center and other ways you can get in contact with us. So support.givegab.com houses all of our articles on any topic you can think of, whether it's how do I add an administrator, or how do I invite a peer-to-peer fundraiser, matches and challenges. Just go ahead and visit that and type in any topic you're looking to learn more about, and a whole bunch of articles will come up. We've got our blog that we refresh, very regularly. So it has, blog articles from some of our other Giving Day partners, other nonprofits, our marketing and communications team. We've got a lot of great, best practices and tips and case studies that you might find to be super helpful. And then also you can get in contact with us by sending an email. So you can send us an email to customersuccess@givegab.com, or you can get in contact with us via the blue chat bubble. So you've probably seen that follow you around the site when you're logged in, or even if your donors are on the site and need support, they can chat into us. So if you need any support at all, just chat into us. Sometimes you can find your answer if you type in your question in the chat. And other times you might need to talk with a live person, and we have a full team that is ready to support you and your NEPA Gives campaign. So just chat into us anytime. Our hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time. And then on the giving day, we'll also have some extended support, so we can support you for, the big day coming up. And with that does it for the content. So thanks for following along and listening to Alana and I talk about peer-to-peer fundraising. So feel free to type in any questions that you have. It looks like a couple have come in. Let's see. Alana, anything to add as we gather some questions?
No, nothing on my end. I can go ahead and read the first question. You showed the page, this is from Jan. You showed the page they see once they go to the profile and click on fundraiser with a list of things to do. The first option was to invite a fundraiser. Once they get their invitation, do they end up on that same page with a checklist, including telling their story from a link in the invitation email we send, or will it look different depending on whether they click fundraise button from profile page as opposed to someone I invite under @fundraiser? Yeah, great question. So they would receive a direct email either way. They would receive the exact same email, whether you choose to invite them from the back end or if they sign up themselves on the front end. So they would essentially receive a welcome email with some information on their personal link, as well as a button that allows them to go directly to the back end of their profile. So they would receive that same email regardless of whether they sign up themselves or if you invite them through the back end. And here's a question from Jessica. This is unrelated to peer-to-peer fundraising, but a question I received from a donor. Does GiveGab have the option to allow people to make a donation through their bank account instead of adding a credit or debit card? Yes, we do. So there is a minimum donation level of $100. So as long as that donation is over $100, they'll be presented with an option to pay via ACH or bank account. So they'll be able to, as long as their bank account is within the banks that we offer, our payment platform Stripe offers, which is just about all banks, but there might be a chance that they bank with a small local bank that's not included. And they can always chat with the blue chat bubble during the donation process if they have any questions. But as long as the donation is over $100, they'll be able to pay through their bank account. And in that case, they would not incur any credit card percentage fees. They would just pay a flat $3 fee plus the GiveGab platform fee. So it's a really great option for donors that plan to make a large donation but don't want to pay a percentage credit card fee. Another question, does a fundraiser reach their goal by collecting dollars from others and then giving on the giving day? So the fundraiser would reach their goal. The donations would come directly through their page. A donor would either go to the fundraiser page to donate, or they would go to your organization and profile page to donate, as I showed earlier in the presentation, and pick a fundraiser from there. But the donation form itself is exactly the same as a normal donor would have without going through a fundraising profile. So at no point does the fundraiser see any of that money. The money would go directly to you as the organization, just like a normal donation. All that happens is that donation is now linked to that fundraiser, so they get credit for that donation coming through their fundraising page. It'll show in their totals for the day. That money will be counted towards their overall fundraising totals on your organization page. So the money doesn't go directly to the fundraiser and then they send it to you. The money still always automatically goes to you, just like a normal donation. Hopefully that answered the question. So let me know if you have any follow-up questions about that. It doesn't look like we have any other questions, so we can definitely stick around for a couple minutes. Oh, one just came in as I said that. Gerard asks, also unrelated to peer-to-peer fundraising, but our organization had lots of information on our NEPA Give page from last year. Is there a way to directly transfer that information to our page for this year? Yeah, that's a great question as well. So when you register for NEPA Gives this year, you are presented with the opportunity to copy over your profile from last year, so you're not starting from a blank slate. So if you sign into your admin profile and go to the Giving Days section in the left column, go to your 2021 Giving Day profile, you should see an option to copy over your 2020 profile. And if you're struggling finding that or need help, please chat into the blue chat bubble. But yes, if you did participate last year, you spent a lot of time and effort into your profile, you do have the option to bring over the content from last year's profile to this year's profile, as long as you're registering, under the same organization you did as last year.
And Alana, as you were answering a couple of questions ago, I did type in an answer that Eileen had in terms of the timeline for donations when they are deposited into the nonprofit's bank account. And so I don't know if we want any of the team members to talk about the timeline in that. I did put in the chat that it is within 5 business days, but I know we have a different setup here. So I don't know if anyone else wants to add to that.
Yeah, thanks, Nikki. What I can say to that is we have to go back to Give Gab. So we have obviously a partnership, and when our giving day is over, Give Gab has their processing of making sure that the donations go to the right organization, especially if there's like umbrellas or any peer-to-peer fundraising and whatnot. And then once they do their due diligence, it comes back to us, and then we send it back, and then that's when it distributes out. We're going to do as fast as we can because we know it's at the end of the fiscal year for many. So I will reshare the timeline that we had discussed with you all and shared out with our partner agencies. But ideally, it should be the last week of June, though, with banks and how it hits, the latest it will be on the 3rd of July. And we will be working our hardest to get, we understand everybody's, if they're putting their efforts in here, they want it, but we also want to make sure that we're processing everything correct and you guys are getting your correct amounts in return. Well, I'm not sure if there's any questions. We could hang on for another minute or two. I want to thank Alana and Nikki for taking time out of their day. I know they have a multitude of giving days. As we'd like to think they're only ours, but they work on these year round. So if there's any questions, now's the chance since they're joining us live. And just one other quick reminder, we did start a NEPA Gives leaders group this year. So if you go on Facebook, you will be able to find that. And it's just a way for leaders to connect and maybe collaborate or put best practices on for each other or ask questions of each other. Okay, well, I'm going to do the going once, twice to see if anybody else has questions. Again, there's a multitude of ways to connect with Give Gab and even go through the website and find resources. As I've found your blog very, very helpful. So I encourage everybody to go on their blog site because it also incorporates other people and other giving days. Okay, well, we'll give you guys back 15 minutes of your lunch. Enjoy the sun that is finally coming in Northeast Pennsylvania. And again, thank you, Alana and Nikki. And this will be uploaded probably in the next day or so to nepagives.org.
Great. Thank you from Give Gab.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.